I lost a parent. I was 14 years old and my stepfather shot and killed my mother, and I held her hand while she died. I was in the 9th grade at Wilson when you learning how CPR and all that other stuff, and they argued all day, and then they got in a fight later on at night. And my brother Maurice Dawson and his cousin Theo, we was in the living room playing Nintendo. And they were in the dining room fighting, and my mother said, just let me sit down, I'll be okay. And he went upstairs, and we heard him going through the drawers and stuff, and we knew he used to shoot his guns all the time at us. And it was just something normal. We didn't think nothing of it. And we heard a gunshot, and I heard her whimper. And he came and he leaned up against the door jamb between the dining room and the living room, and he was like, pretty lady, I'm sorry. And I was like, what? And then he told my brother Maurice, he said, Maurice called the ambulance, somebody just got killed. And we both looked at each other. And I went in there and I was holding my mother's hand, and Michael Bolton, I couldn't stand him for years. He was singing that song, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And I just felt like I was sitting there watching my mother's life roll away. And there was nothing that I could do about it. And I just held her hand. She whimpered. At first she was breathing hard. And then she started snoring. And then it was nothing. It was no blood, no nothing. He put the pistol to her chest and pulled the trigger and said, bitch, I'll kill you. And that was it. I couldn't even remember my grandmother's phone number. My cousin Keith came and he was like, Mamie, what's Medea's number? I said, I don't know. He said, you call her every day? What you mean you don't know? The police had took my stepfather out the front right when my Uncle James was coming through the kitchen into the house. He had the gun up like, where he at, where he at? And my cousin Keith grabbed him and was like, no, man, don't do it, don't do it. It ain't worth it. And then we had to go downtown and give our story. And after it was over, the man took me in the room to call and check on my mother. And he said, I got some bad news. She didn't make it. The bullet ricocheted and just tore up all her insides, and she hemorrhaged. And I just screamed. And when I came out, my brothers were sitting there crying, and it wasn't nothing that none of us could do. She was gone. And people think that domestic violence and gun violence is not glamorous at all. It's painful. When we lose our family, when they take our family members, my stepfather did 2 years, if that, in prison. And he was free because it was black on black crime, and it was his first offense. My uncle moved away to Columbus because he didn't want to kill my stepfather. He didn't even go to the funeral to support my brothers. He sent a card. He said because if he had been here, he would have put lighter fluid and set his casket on fire. I was 14 years old. I planned my mother's funeral. 14, picking out caskets, picking out dresses. Are you serious? When we went to view my mother's body, I tried to get in the casket with her. But all I can say is but God, because I could be a statistic. I could be on somebody's corner. I could have somebody's needle hanging on my arm. But God. I got 3 sons. And I thank God, my 18-year-old sons, they don't live here, they live in Florida. And my 13-year-old, he lives in Campbell. And I made sure they might not do the best or be the greatest when they're away from me, but when they're around me, it's yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. And I refuse to let the streets get mine. I refuse. But I just want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to share my story, and maybe it might help somebody else.
Thank you, sweetheart.